Welcome to Restoring Men in History, and we're glad you're here. Tale of Two Men, Gladiator, the film. Now, we're not going to go into all of the film. We're just going to take some scenes from it and look at two main characters, Maximus and Commodus, and the differences in them. What kind of man do you want to be? A man of virtues or a man of vice? And this is a great juxtaposition of two characters in a film. It's an incredible film, and we could come back and do the whole movie. But really, I've pulled some scenes to focus on that show you the character of Maximus and Commodus, all right? So you'll see many kinds of men in the story. Many want power, some are bribe. There's corruption, which applies to today, right? There's senators that are bad, good, and that applies to today as well. So there's a political angle, but mainly we're focused on these two characters. Maximus has virtues, Commodus vices. Maximus wants to serve Rome and the previous true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, who is the emperor at the beginning of the story. Commodus wants to be loved. He has this amazing need to be loved. And he wants all the power. Corrupt politicians and senators exist in Rome. Does that sound familiar for today? But who are the leaders that are caring for the people? Except for Maximus. People wanting to rule, not serve. So first of all, there's the great setup. Let's go in that first battle scene. Maximus is about to go into battle. His last battle, they're going to finish it up. Marcus Aurelius is there as well. But Maximus, you get that he's respected by his soldiers right away at the beginning. You see them kneeling as he walks by to go out to the battle. And he's got a plan and a strategy. He knows what he's doing. He's a great general. And then the commanding officer says, strength and honor, strength and honor. I love that strength and honor for men. So anyway, as he's walking through on the way to the battle, his men are kneeling. He's a respected and honored general. In the next battle, he personally does what? Leads the charge on horseback, placing himself in danger, not just his men, showing the virtue of what? Courage. So right away, you get he has the respect of the men and he has courage. And you understand in that scene why he's a great leader and general and why he commands respect. After the battle, he sits down with the emperor Marcus Aurelius. They're talking about Rome. They sit down and he says, talk, Maximus, talk. Marcus Aurelius does, the emperor. And what is Maximus concerned about? What are his first words? And you get the whole character right here, gentlemen. Is he concerned about position, status, what he can gain, what he can get from just winning this huge battle? And before that, Maximus says he's very humble. He helps Marcus Aurelius on a horse, and then they're talking at one point in the film right before this scene, and Maximus says, they're honoring you, and Marcus Aurelius says, no, they're honoring you, right? The men are honoring him. So what does he say, though, in this scene when they're sitting down in the emperor's room? 5,000 of my men are out there in the freezing mud. 3,000 are bloody and cleaved. 2,000 will never leave. I will not believe they fought and died for nothing. Maximus wants it to mean something. That is a great general and leader. Always care about your men. And Maximus cares about his men. That's his focus, his men. First thing he says. Maximus says, they died for what? They died for you, Marcus, and Rome. Marcus asks, what is Rome? Maximus says, the world is dark. Rome is what? Rome is the light. So those men died for a purpose larger than themselves in their minds. And Maximus was fighting for a purpose larger than himself. Marcus Aurelius is dying and tells Maximus he wants to see there was some purpose to his life. He's been fighting battles his whole life. And this is a great moment, a great scene. It shows you the focus and where Maximus's attention is. It's not on worldly prestige. It's not on honor. I mean, this guy is a great man. And I love this movie. We could come back and do the whole film because it's a fantastic film. But he asked Maximus to tell him about his home. And this scene's very telling. It always struck me. And he says this. Maximus says to Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, this. My house is in the hills above Tehillo, a very simple place. Pink stones that warm in the sun. A kitchen garden that smells of herbs in the day, jasmine in the evening. Through the gate is a giant poplar, figs, apples, pears. The soil, Marcus, black like my wife's hair. Grapes on the south slopes, olives on the north, while ponies play near my house. They tease my son. He wants to be one of them. Now, here's a great man who notices what his son's doing, notices the color of his wife's hair, and remembers it vividly. If you like this subject, please like, comment, and subscribe. Put down what was your favorite part of Gladiator. Thank you. And you hear that he has this passion for his family, for his wife, for his son. That's amazing, right? He wants to be home with his son to teach him, be with his wife. He loves his home, he loves his boy, he loves his wife. It's not about power and status and position and honor for him. Well, he does want to, of course, to have honor. But what I'm saying is, it's not about the glory for him. It's about getting back to his family. He's a man who wants to do what? Go home, not seek more power. Doesn't want position. Marcus says it's a good home worth fighting for. But Marcus asks him to do. He says, there is one more duty I ask of you before you go home. Then Marcus Aurelius makes his ask. I want you, now imagine if you got this entreaty from the emperor. I want you to become the protector of Rome. I will empower you to give power to one end alone, to give power back to the people of Rome, and in the corruption that has crippled it. He asked, do you accept this honor? And here's the big answer. And remember, he loves Marcus Aurelius like a father. Marcus Aurelius loves him like a son. And he loves Rome. He's done all this for Rome and Marcus Aurelius. And what does he answer, Maximus? With all my heart, no. Don't you wish more politicians were like Maximus today? We see corruption. He doesn't want power, status. How many politicians in Washington would have grabbed that ring? And what does Marcus say back to Maximus? That is why it must be you, right? George Washington gave back power, and he was called the greatest man for it. Here's Maximus turning down power, being the greatest man. And if you think about it, men who want power sometimes aren't the best to rule, right? It's the men who don't want it, right? It's the men who thought about it in high school, junior high, and wanted it their whole entire life and did nothing else but politics. And they've stayed in it their entire life. Some men seek power. Maximus does not. And why does Marcus Aurelius want him also? He has not been corrupted by politics of Rome. Maximus asks about his son, Commodus. He says, what about Commodus? Commodus is, and this is the father. Commodus is not a moral man, Marcus says. Commodus cannot rule. He must not rule. You are the son I should have had. That also says something about Marcus Aurelius. He's ready to put the empire and Rome and the Republic before his own family. Something larger than himself. He wants to leave it behind in good shape, all he's worked for and done. And he knows his son is the wrong person to become emperor and wants to restore power to the people. What does Maximus do? He leaves. And what does he do? He goes and prays to the God very humbly, with humility. And he also asks for, and I like this in the movie, it's a great scene, he's thinking about his wife and son. He asks for direction and he says, watch over my wife and son with a sword, to his gods. He seeks direction from above. He's not beyond that. He doesn't think he knows it all. He's not too good to ask his gods. Doesn't think he knows all the answers. Very humble man. And he just wants to go home, but he feels a duty to Rome and Marcus Aurelius. So he's torn. That's a great man. Great general, great father, great husband. Now look at the difference in the two men. Commodus has a talk with his father. And we're only going to do some scenes, not all, and you'll get it. Commodus has a talk with his father. Marcus tells Commodus he is turning power over to Maximus so that Rome can become a republic again. How does Commodus react? That's the key. He does not receive it well at all. He wants all the power. He wants that position, that status, that power. And he flashes back to a letter that his father, Marcus, wrote him. Now, Marcus Aurelius has been in all these wars, but he took the time to write his son a letter with 14 virtues, Commodus says. And he talks about wisdom, justice, fortitude, temperance. We talk about those. That was the very first video, second video. Because those virtues are so important. Aristotle talked about them as well, and we've talked about them. He says he has other virtues, ambition, resourcefulness, courage, not on maybe on the battlefield, but in other places, and devotion. And this is funny. He says, I have devotion to my family, which is funny because he has no devotion to his sister or his father. But he says, none of my virtues were on your list. Now, he cries, and he always wanted to make his father proud of him, but he couldn't. And apparently, this is another whole thing about the story. Apparently, he never got the attention and the love of his father that he wanted. I don't know the whole story. We're just guessing here. But here's a lesson. Many men feel that way today, right? A lot of fathers have gone out of the house, a lot of bad fathers in the house, or fathers that aren't engaged, and you see those stats. So if you have a choice, be a great father so we don't create any more covetousness, right? So he's very angry at his father, or he wanted his love. Something's off. And this has defined his whole life. He's let it define him. So you have a choice. If you've had a bad father, you can choose to go forward and be an example to men and not repeat it, or you can become like Commodus. Or you can choose to be like Maximus. But you have a choice. You can do something positive with your background. So he says he has a devotion for family, and then minutes or seconds later, he smothers and kills his father to take power, to make sure he gets the power. That's his whole life, power and being loved. Commodus is driven by, he wants to be loved and respected, and power. He wants more. So not a good model for you men, right? So these are two great models. Now, in the scene after, Maximus wants him to, kiss the ring, so to say, take his hand and serve him. Maximus doesn't stand for that. He knows the proper way, so he does not do it. He's courageous enough to stand up to the new emperor right away, and he leaves. And of course, Commodus, after killing his own father, he now decides he's going to kill Maximus's innocent son, his innocent wife, and arrest and execute Maximus because he's a threat to his power. He doesn't want Maximus taking the army. Now Maximus goes out to make plans. He says to his servant, go get the senators, but before he gets there, he's arrested and taken out. Envy, jealousy, these are the vices of Commodus. He has jealousy and envy toward Maximus because Marcus Aurelius loved him better. No loyalty, no temperance. And compared to today, politically, in the story, Commodus creates these big moments of bread and circuses. He wants to love other people. He wants to entertain them. And while they're focused on that, the senators and him can do whatever they want. That goes on today, right? We have bread and circuses today. Distractions, games. So while people are entertained and drugged, Congress has spent, around $37 trillion in debt? Anyway, scene between him and Lucilla. Commodus and Lucilla explains it. The new emperor and his sister, Lucilla, defines Commodus as well. And they're talking about the greatness of Rome. It's an idea of greatness of vision. And he's going to have all these great games, entertain the people so that they will love him. Terrible leader. And he wants his sister to love him as well. His whole drive is to be loved and have power. Maximus' whole drive is what? To serve Rome, serve his family. So now there's a gladiator scene. Maximus has been taken. He's now a gladiator. He's been taken back to Rome. We're skipping things because I'm just trying to compare these two men. There's other bad men in this story as well, corrupt, bribed politicians, which seems to exist today. Okay, fantastic action scene by Ridley Scott and this one gladiator scene, and all of them are great, but it shows the character and leadership of Maximus. The odds are heavily against them. They're going to recreate to a small degree the Battle of Zama. We covered that in the video. And the Maximus is a leader, and he tells them, we got a better chance of survival if we work together. Do you understand? If we stay together, we survive. He's a natural leader, and he's not only concerned about himself, he's concerned again about his men, and they respond to his leadership because they know he cares about them, and they're winning and surviving as well, not just himself. And that's what a great leader is, caring about your men and worrying about whether they're going to survive and benefit and do well. So the crowd loves them. He gets all this attention. Of course, that bugs Commodus. And the emperor wants to go meet. And this is one of the greatest scenes in the film. I loved this scene. It's bold. The Emperor Commodus wants to meet the famous Spaniard. He comes down to the arena to meet him. He asks him to take off the helmet. Now, of course, Russell Crowe, Maximus, doesn't want to take the helmet off because that's going to reveal who he is. But he does. And then the way Ridley Scott does it, the way he turns around, and the reaction of Lucilla, who loved him, he says this, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Russell Crowe delivers it. Ridley Scott shoots it. This is amazing, fantastic. Imagine calling out to this emperor who's already killed your wife and your son and his father, and you know it. That's just fantastic directing, the way he turns around. And we're not really doing the directing, but shows his character too, right? He's bold. He's announcing his name. And the reaction of Connie Nielsen in her face. She's such a phenomenal actress. When she sees it, you know what's happened. She knows there's hope for her and her son because she's terrified of her own brother, that he will kill her son and her to take out the threat of anyone else ruling. This is how bad this guy is. This guy is a bad guy. So you can see the hope in her face, and she's a strong woman. But you can see her looking at a strong man of virtue and honor and strength, that he could possibly save Rome and her son. You can see all the hope in that moment when they cut to her and carry on her father's dream. And leaders count, and they can bring hope to the people when they have virtue. Rome follows the mob at one point, she says. So Maximus gets respect and love. Commodus needs power and love and doesn't get love. So he can't stand it, jealousy, envy. Now there's other great scenes. The servant, you can tell how much the army loves him because the servant comes to him and he still respects Maximus, but we won't tell that tale. Anyway, he says he's going to bring the army. Great scene between Connie Nielsen, Lucilla, and Russell Crowe, Maximus. And Maximus, she's getting him out that night. It has to be done. And he tells her, you risk too much. And you were strong. And there's still a chemistry there. They used to date. And you can tell she respects and loves him. And she says, I'm tired of being strong. My brother hates all the world. And a lot of strong women like strong men, right? He's strong. She's strong. They go together well. I have felt alone all my life except with you, she says. So you kind of know, in one way, that's her guy, right? He was the one for her. And she can relax with him. And so it's interesting that they were romantic at one point. Now, at the end, we're going to try to finish this up. Maximus and Commodus. Commodus wants the love and wants attention. How's he going to get that? He's going to have to kill Maximus in the arena. So before the last fight, and he's going to go out there and fight him, he stabs him to weaken him because he can't beat him. And he's got to get the crowd, right? They say the mob rules, so he's got to win that way. So like a corrupt politician, he cheats, right? So you saw many men through the story. Maximus and Commodus were the two we focused on, but you saw there were senators that were taking bribes, all of this corruption in the city and Rome, and that won't work, right? Now in the film he dies, but what do you think he leaves behind? All that saw his honor and strength. All that had the opportunity to see a masculine man of virtue. Maximus chose to serve Rome. Marcus, his home, his family, and the people, and a larger purpose than himself. Commodus just wanted to be loved and wanted power and wanted to wield it. And by the way, he wanted the love of his sister, but this is the other thing that made him upset. His sister loved whom? Maximus. His father loved whom? Maximus. The people in the arena loved whom? Maximus. Everybody loved Maximus. He couldn't get that love. So the answer is what? Be the man the world needs. The man Rome needed. The man Lucilla needed. The man the world needs today. Strength and honor. If you like this subject, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.